Hello and welcome to the Chef's Corner. I'm your host, Brian Hernandez, and today I'm joined by the lovely Brittany Saxton of 600 downtown in Bellefontaine, Ohio. Not Bellefontaine, but Bellefontaine. Am I correct in that?
Yep. You're
All
good
right,
to go.
Brittany, thank you so much for your time today. We want to just kind of, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Chef's Corner. We just kind of like to get inside the minds of some great pizziolos out there, pizzolas, and just, see what makes them tick. So we're just going to jump right in, if you don't mind.
Perfect. Go for it.
Okay, so first question, as always, is what's your earliest pizza memory? What's the first thing you remember about pizza?
I started in the pizza industry when I was 16 as a dishwasher and a phone person. So my first earliest memory of pizza was when I first officially learned how to toss. It was my goal because everybody thought that I didn't belong in the kitchen in the first place. So my first memory was being able to trump that stigma and actually learn how to hand toss my pizzas.
Okay. Before that, as a child growing up, though, what was like, your first aroma or first time you remember pizza?
Oh, it was probably like a Domino's pizza, but like when I was 13, Michael bought Michelangelo's. And so I remember my aunt was pregnant at the time. So she ordered Michelangelo's all the time. And so my goal was to be able to work there. So when I got the job at 16, it was pretty cool. Okay.
And then from there, you kind of had to prove yourself in the kitchen to say, yes, I do belong here.
Yes.
And you were able to.
I was a 16-year-old little girl who I didn't fit in there yet. So I had to pave my way.
That's awesome. And it sounds like you have paved, and we'll get to that a little bit later, but you've paved your way and done some off-ramps and taken some detours and gotten back on. And, it sounds like you've created your own highway system there of pizza. So
yeah.
When did you decide that I want to have my own pizzeria? When was the first inkling of that and, the journey to get there?
Michael Shepard was my mentor and trainer. So Michael is one of the founding fathers of the World Pizza Champions. And so he had the small restaurant in the Kenton location, and then we had expanded into the larger location in Kenton, and then Russellvania opened, and then 600 opened. But for me, I never really thought at the beginning I would ever stay in the industry or be an owner. But the more and more I did and became involved in experiences that I had, I fell in love with everything behind that. So when Michael was ready to retire out of operations, I was given the opportunity to buy 600. And so honestly, the dream of owning a pizzeria just came live probably 4 years ago. I thought I would always just work under Michael. I never saw him retiring. So it was kind of a new thing for me. I was okay with just being the worker. And so being the owner now, it has come with a lot more opportunities and experiences, and I love growing in this industry. So I just continue on.
Well, definitely a good origin story. I like that. Sometimes the things you don't see in your future, they just come up, and I guess greatness is thrust upon you. Is that the best way to say it? So I was looking at your menu here, and I'm going to apologize if it doesn't look like I'm looking at you, because I'm actually not. I'm looking at the menu. But what inspires your recipes for your pizzas? Were a lot of these existing when you took over, or have you I'm seeing a lot of award-winning next to some of these names, like the New Orleans and the Mad Hatter and the Tonto. What goes into recipe creation for you guys?
For me personally, recipe creation is what I've seen traveling, what I've experienced at other pizzerias, or just what I'm craving at the time and how to make it a pie. That's one of my favorite things to do is I want something, so I figure out how to put it on a pizza, because the way I look at pizza is it's a blank plate. You can build it however you want. Pizza has definitely stepped out of the red sauce, basic pepperoni, and we've really ventured into the gourmet pizza side now. And so for me, it's just whatever I feel like eating and I want on my pie.
That's good. So it's kind of a selfish venture for you. It's what Brittany wants and when she wants it, right?
A little bit. And then my team is very exploratory as well when it comes to the pizza industry. We have quite a few members, Dalton being the culinary graduate. And so he really does a lot of things when it comes to flavor profiles and building. And Nate's always energetic about how pizzas are coming about and what's new. So I also give a lot of empowerment to my staff to make menu pizzas because I want them to feel as part of the story as I do. That was one of the things that I had growing up. Michael always made me feel part of what was happening and giving me experiences. So that's very important for me to pass along with my team as well. So outside of myself and my own cravings, I want them to be able to feel that entitlement to have menu selection as well.
That's great. That was actually going to be my next question, the follow-up to that. And then, so, you give free reign for people to come up with ideas and present it to you. You guys, how do you test that out? Do you test it with the staff first and move on to some in-store tests, just free samples for customers? How do you get how does that something get on the menu, I should say?
That's exactly what we do. Actually, what we starts out with is we start building the pie, the team tastes it. If the team loves it, or we tweak it in any way that we find that might work something different into it. And then we go into the free samples, because on Fridays nights, we're on about an hour and a half wait here at our restaurant, typically. So the waiting crowd really gets to be the judgment of our pizzas, because that keeps them happy during that hour and a half wait. They're already eating. So that's normally our test market, is our wait guests.
Since you took over an existing shop, what are some of the hardest hurdles in taking over an existing shop? Is it that it's already established, you don't get to do what you want, or you have to slowly integrate that? What was one of the hardest things about taking over something that's been there and it's been established?
I think the hardest thing for me was brand identity, for sure, because everybody sees 600 as being Michael's store and the way Michael did things, and we're just a little bit different, and we're evolving as we grow. So for sure, the biggest hurdle I've had so far is just my own brand identity, and then also building that loyalty with the team, because it was a transition from me being an employee one day to their owner the next. And so that was a hard hurdle to get over, because people didn't see me as that owner yet. And so it was one of the things that I had to work hard to earn with my staff and my team. But it was also one of the hardest things within the community, because 3 years in, and some people still don't know that ownership has changed. And I think that the biggest struggle is just that transition piece from assistant general manager to owner in the short time period it happened.
And I should have asked this earlier. How long have you been owner? You said, I believe, 3 years just now?
Mm-hmm. This will be my third year.
So since 16?
Yep.
2016. Okay. All right. Well, is there, I can see how that's hard going. Even just getting promoted in the ranks up, from cook to manager and stuff like that, you struggle with the same thing. I can only imagine it's tenfold becoming the owner. So where do you think that, if somebody's in the same situation, is there one area where you thought you could have done better in that transition? Maybe you messed up and you realized that I learned my lesson. If I do it again, obviously you wouldn't go from employee to manager or owner again, but maybe somebody who's in that same situation, you can say, watch out for this, because it could trip you up.
It's nothing to do with the operation pieces where I feel like I tripped up. My biggest trip up was I didn't know how to delegate the jobs that I did typically. And so separating the jobs that I have to do now as an owner and the back end of things and the administrative side into operations, I had a hard time breaking that operational trend. Not that I don't work operations, because I do, but I couldn't spend 80 hours a week in operations and still be successful with my home life, having 3 kids and a husband, and the administrative side of business. I was really putting everything on my own plate instead of using my team as what they're there for, and that's support system. So I guess my biggest thing was support system delegation and learning how to balance the load. Okay.
Yeah, I can see how it's a little tricky. Where's one place that you really succeeded at that, you could let other people know if maybe they're not thinking about something that you did and you did really well that was very easy in the transition? Is there something in general?
With the transition, I think the easiest solution I had was learning that delegation factor and breaking up job descriptions and making sure that the load was balanced. So learning your job descriptions right off the bat, I think, is a huge successor for me, and learning how to put people in charge of the things that was my typical day-to-day. Okay. So training would be the big thing for me, is getting the training done, getting it set up the way that it needs to be with the job descriptions following.
Okay. Yeah. It's almost like your trip up became your big success. So. Okay, well, now we kind of gotten some of the operational and the business side of things taken care of. Let's move on to the fun part, all the cooking and tastes and ingredients. What is your favorite ingredient to work with? You had one on a desert island. You've only had one ingredient that you could grow and be forever. What ingredient is that?
My favorite ingredient, I have two. Mushrooms and prosciutto are my two favorite ingredients.
Okay.
I absolutely love fresh mushrooms. I think that they give you a wide variety and a fun texture to play with. And then I love the saltiness and the versatile, like the way you can use prosciutto either cooked or raw. I prefer it raw. And so a lot of our toppings, when we use prosciutto, it goes on after baked just because I think it has a better texture that way. I think it's very rubbery when it's baked. So getting people to experience that raw meat texture is fun.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll allow it to. That's okay. We're pretty easy going in the chef's corner. So just an offshoot question on that. The fight of fresh mushrooms versus canned mushrooms. Your menu, all fresh mushrooms?
We do offer canned. It is very
okay.
Some people prefer them over the fresh. I think they're weird, but I prefer the fresh, but we have both in.
Well, that was actually going to be the question. I just came back from Milwaukee, and this is the first time I've been to a place that actually offered canned. And I just me, I fight with mushrooms as is, and especially if they're canned, I just don't like that soft, mushy texture. I can't eat them. But apparently, some people like them. I just wondered if you'd heard that. But you guys do offer both, and.
We actually have a specialty pizza that is designed around Iso pepperoni and fresh and canned mushroom together. We call it our American Muscle Pizza. So we do have one signature pizza that offers both styles. However, I will always recommend fresh over canned. Canned, I agree with you. They're sluggy, weird feelings. And
that's perfect. I never heard that, but that's how I'm going to describe them from now on. That sluggy.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's the winner in your store? How much do you sell of each? Who steps out in front, fresh or canned?
Fresh always wins. Canned mushrooms are something that gets used less frequently. It's normally the specialty pizza only. Very few people add canned mushrooms to their thing. It's always fresh.
So do you just kind of open them? Like, do you have the small cans? You obviously wouldn't want to open a number 10 can because you probably don't use that much.
We go through the specialty pizza enough to go through number 10 cans.
So
we just open them as needed. But we go through a number 10 in the week process. So it's not the specialty pizza is enough to warrant the 10 cans.
Okay. Very good. You're just trying to maximize your produce and your food costs. So, all right. So aside from canned mushrooms, what's one ingredient you will never use? Say one of your superstars, Landon Butler shows up and it's in his lunchbox. You fire him on the spot. I don't care how good he is at spinning or stretching. He's gone. What's that one ingredient?
Anchovies.
I heard it. You said something. I wasn't sure. Okay. Poor anchovies. They get thrown under the bus quite a lot in this show. That's another one. You love it or you hate it, and both from a very passionate standpoint. So, what about anchovies? Just weird you out?
They have faces. Weird. That's where I draw the line.
Okay. Well, I guess they still have faces because a lot of your ingredients at one point had faces. You know that, right?
Right, but they come with the face, and I don't like it.
They come with the face. All right, I like that one. That's another first here in the Chef's Corner. My gosh. What is one ingredient that you don't use now, but something that you got your eye on, you want to maybe incorporate into your menu that you've played with, but you something you're trying to bring into the fold possibly or experiment with?
Burrata cheese.
Oh, yeah. That's the second time I've heard that.
Yeah. For us East Coasters, it's a hard struggle to get it. Grande's been working on burrata for a couple of years now, but has not yet released it. So in trying to find a supplier to do wholesale burrata and in large quantities is something we haven't been able to do yet here in Ohio. I know some places do carry burrata, and I'm still trying to figure out how they get it, but I cannot.
Okay.
So burrata is my favorite thing in the world, and I just can't source it frequently enough to add it to my menu.
Do you have maybe a couple ideas in mind already if you can get it sourced and out to your shop? Couple menu items already, pies built in your head?
I have a couple pies built and a couple appetizers wrapped around it.
Nice.
So there's quite a few frequent uses I could use it for. It's just getting it in and getting it in bulk. So
okay. Well, that's something you're working at and working on at 600 Downtown, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. The struggle is real, people. Burrata. We want it. What is one signature item, fact, or gimmick about 600 Downtown or your menu? I hate using the word gimmick, but some places have them. But one thing that makes 600 Downtown special and sets you guys apart from some of the competition around there.
We are outside of the box. We use mostly gourmet pies. We have the couple signatures like the deluxe pizza, the meat lovers, the things that people venture towards. But most of our menu is based on gourmet pizzas, and we also do everything handmade. The dough's handmade in-house, 2-day cold rise process, and then we also do everything hand-tossed. So we don't have any sheeters, no rolling pins or anything used in our restaurant. And so we also have the open kitchen so people can watch the pies being made, thrown in the air. And then it comes down to our brick oven. We have a beautiful 4-deck Marsal in our kitchen, and so people love watching that process, and it's a gorgeous piece to our kitchen. So it's all about the open view of what we do, and we keep it very open for the customers to be able to see and watch what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in some of these older towns or where the pizzerias are older and more established, I'm finding that those kitchens are closed off, and it's been the last 20, 30 years, maybe that long, but they've started opening up. Watching the pizza being made has become part of the spectacle of going out to eat. It keeps people, as you said, entertained, or if they're waiting in line still, too.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the acrobatics in-house, and they toss in the air, so that's always great for the kids. They love watching it. The other gimmick, I guess, we do is we give the kids dough balls while they're waiting to kind of help ease their mind in the process. And so that's one of the normal things people comment on what we do. Instead of coloring books, crayons, we give out dough. And so that's our gimmick if we had one. Okay.
No, that's you got to keep the kids happy. Otherwise, if the kids hate it, the parents probably won't go there.
Exactly. Especially when there's a wait. So
yeah. Well, it's the same with gluten-free, customers. They tend to dictate where the group goes. And speaking on that, I keep sneaking peeks over here at your menu again. Just the second page of the pizza page. I'm noticing that you have 4 different styles that you guys do, which I wasn't aware of. I knew you did, made great pizzas and stuff, but I figured it was your hand-tossed traditional. But you have a classic Italian style, gluten-friendly. Yes. I like that distinction right there. Gluten-friendly artisan style, a Detroit style, and Sicilian style. Now, the gluten-friendly in Detroit, they have asterisks next to them. What's going on with those guys?
Sicilian, Detroit, and the gluten-friendly are all limited availability. So we keep some in-house because the shelf life on the gluten-friendly, that's the only one we do not make in-house. And the reason it's marked gluten-friendly instead of gluten-free is because my kitchen's not gluten-free. So I cannot guarantee any celiacs to eat safely in my restaurant, period. So we mark it as a gluten-friendly option. So if it's a dietary want, like you just choose not to eat gluten, we're good for you. But if you're celiac, you're not safe in my restaurant. And so we just make sure that marker's there for liability and just like general knowledge. Yeah. But the other 2, we make 18 a day of the Sicilian and 20 a day of the Detroit. And when they're gone, they're gone. So it's first come, first serve. You cannot call and ask to hold one. We will not. And it's also a process because if the Detroit style takes 3 hours from start to finish and rise and pre-bake and all of that. And if the dough recipe's messed up that day, we don't have them. And so they're asterisk just to let people know that it is a special thing and it is a demand. Yeah,
limited availability, as you said. So the Sicilian style, what differentiates that between the Sicilian style and your classic Italian style? What's the difference between those 2?
The classic Italian is hand-tossed and it has the crust on the edge, but it's thinner in the middle. The Sicilian style is very airy and light, but it's the rectangle-based Sicilian instead of the round. And so it stands up about 1/4 inch tall all the way across, as where the hand-tossed only is 1/4 inch tall around the crust. Okay, yeah, that's where my confusion came in because there was a picture of a regular pizza above that, just a couple of your regular pies. I'm like, okay, so it is Sicilian style, rectangle. I got it. All right, perfect. That visual sometimes mess me up. No problem. I didn't even notice that it was the original one on top of it.
Yeah, I was looking at there, and there was just 2 regular pizzas, and I'm like, well, they look the same. What's the difference? I mean, I figured it could have been dough recipe or something like that, but
dough recipe is definitely a little bit different. We use a diastolic malt in that Sicilian to kind of help with that flavor profile.
Oh,
instead.
You do? You use malt now?
Yep.
And that's great that you go like true Sicilian as far as shape and texture and stuff. So that's awesome. Very versatile. I like that. So what's I mean, you have a lot of stuff going on, and it sounds like you do a lot of stuff to keep your customers entertained and happy and coming back. What's one thing that you would maybe add or change about the pizzeria or the menu in general, or maybe something else you're working on besides like burrata, but something that you got in the works, or I don't know, something you dream?
I think that the biggest downside to our restaurant in general isn't really the kitchen or our menu. It's more of the restaurant setup. We are not set for larger parties. It's hard to accommodate guests more than 6. And so just the flow of the front of the house would be the one thing that I think we need to focus on more. Coming from a pizzeria where we were originally just dine in and carry out in the Kenton locations, adding our dine-in with 25 tables and a bar was a huge adjustment. And I think that our setup could be done a little bit better to make the flow a little bit easier. But I'm content with, like, of course, menus will always change. We'll always add and take away pizzas. But my menu and my kitchen processes are probably the most solid thing that we have going for our restaurant. And the thing that I can be the most proud of is the fact that our kitchen and our menu is so stellar. So my main flow would be, or a thing I would want to change the most would be the flow of how our restaurant brings in guests.
Okay. And that is for the customer standpoint, make it a little better for the customers.
Yeah, because we have Mad River Mountain in our town. So that when it's this time of year, the ski lodge is packed. And so when they come in groups of 10 and 12 and more, we can't really accommodate easily for them. And normally they're a little bit higher because we can't sit them together even on a good day.
So you've mentioned other locations and things like that. How many locations do you own or have right now? How many locations of 600 downtown are there?
There's one location of 600 downtown.
Okay.
So
and I'm sorry, go ahead.
You go.
Well, I was going to say, so you have one location of 600 downtown, and then there are other locations within the restaurant family, or how does it work?
Well, we have Bellefontaine, which is a new addition, which is our wine room. It's an event venue. So basically, when we do have those groups larger than 20, we offer them this space. We do run it on an hourly rate, and it is done as in a venue space. It's not really part of the restaurant, but it is. You know what I mean? It's a different vibe, a different culture, and a different flow of how we do things.
Is it attached?
Yes, it is attached. And we were able to extend our liquor license between the two, which made it very convenient for us. So it's just an extension of our 600 brand. It's just a little bit different. So
when you get those groups of 10 that come in from the mountain, you don't use that as kind of overflow if it's not having an event? It is kind of completely separate?
It is completely separate because our kitchen is never going to get any bigger. So to accommodate larger parties back here without a pre-adjusted plan doesn't really make sense for us, and it actually extends the wait time on table service because our ovens are our ovens and we can't just make more of those.
All right, so now we've talked about some ingredients, what you like, what you don't like, what you use, and what you want to use. This brings us to the dreaded
Scott Wiener's Lightning Round.
It's not really that dreaded. I'm sorry, Scott. I keep painting you in such a bad light. All right, so basically how it works, I'm going to give you 3 ingredients that I have not given you beforehand. I'm not going to make them too crazy. I want to make sure you've at least probably tasted them. And I want to see how you would put these on a pizza, preferably. But you can also tell me appetizer or dish. But, let's start with pizza if we can. So the first one was going to be cherries, but I think that's going on to the recipe you're going to give us later, right? You already got some cherries, so scratch that. It's gone. Sorry. So I'm going to go complete opposite of that and say celery. Either whole celery, sliced up or something, celery seeds, or even celery salt, which I love. I don't know why. I just love celery salt. How would you incorporate celery into a dish, into a pizza pie?
Well, like I told you earlier, I like thinking of my pizza as more of a plate. So if I was going to have celery as being my weird topping, I would make it into like a wing pizza. Like do big chunks of chicken, some buffalo sauce, celery, and ranch. Celery being on an after bake so it's not mushy.
That's a great answer. I actually do the same thing. That, and you do some blue cheese, and yeah. All right, good answer. I mean, it's it lends itself to that recipe for sure. It's a flavor combination that people know. So, and it would sell. Trust me, it would. All right, so I want to move over to another one that is actually getting a lot more traction lately. But I came up with a recipe. Shoot, it had been 10 years ago at my old pizzeria. Pickles. It's another thing that it's like, but once you have them, and if you have them in a good recipe, they work. What would you do with pickles?
Cheeseburger pizza, ketchup, mustard sauce, beef, cheddar cheese, some pickles on top.
That was the recipe that I had done too. Okay, all right. Did you get my notebook? I mean,
nope.
Are you okay?
I think it's because we spent so many years here.
So how would you do the pickles? You got the mustard and stuff. I mean, kind of how would you layer this pie in order and stuff like that before pre-bake, after bake, all that jazz?
I do not like cooked pickles, so my preference would be before bake. But I think with pickles, it's uniquely individual to each guest. So having the offer of before or after bake, because I prefer them cold, but most people like them cooked.
Would you put them on as like slices, or maybe dice them up so it's a little smaller, more mouth, covers more area?
I like slices better. I think it's more aesthetically pleasing on the pie to have them done as slices. But that's, again, my personal preference on that. So.
And you did say mustard as well, because I remember it was the pickles and mustard that scared people away from my recipe. And I said, just try it. It's going to taste like a Rally's burger. You're going to love it. I mean, so you definitely would think mustard?
Yeah. Again, with us having the customer profile that we have, and they're more willing to try the weird things. I think that when they see it, they're going to be like, but once they try it, it's a different story.
Wow. So 2 for 2, she's cheating because she got my notes somehow, somewhere. All right. I'm going to go back to something a little sweet, or I guess actually probably pretty tart, depending on how you use them. Cranberries. I'll give you another berry, another fruit, but cranberries. What would you do with cranberries?
Cranberries, I would use it more as either a dollop, like a cranberry jam, and then pair it with something a little salty. So some bacon or some prosciutto, something to kind of counteract their flavors together. I personally don't like cranberries. I think they're weird. So that one's hard for me, but I would use it more as a dollop, maybe against some arugula and some, to give you that peppery taste to it. And then also pair it with some prosciutto. I'd probably do an olive oil base on it, so it didn't add or take away from anything, but I would say it would definitely be paired with a peppery, salty mix. So arugula, prosciutto, maybe some fresh mozzarella as well, or some Parmesan cheese. But that one's hard for me because I personally hate them.
You personally, yeah. I mean, that's the keys of being a good chef is being able to, even, the flavors. You might not like it, but you know how they go together. So
I think there's a lot of pizzas on my menu I don't like, but they're there.
I might edit that part out. I want to put the owner on there saying there's a lot of pizzas I don't like on my own menu, but
yeah, edit that one out. But that's me being honest.
No, now that you asked, I'm going to leave it in. I'm sorry. All right, Brittany. As we always say here, there are no losers in the Scott Wiener's lightning round, but you win. So I am going to send you your prize, which is this random golf tee that I have on my desk for some reason. It's in the mail. It's going to be COD though. Okay. So congratulations.
Thanks.
So this particular, what recipe are you giving us, and who created this one? Is it on your menu and all that jazz? So
it is on our menu. It was created in 2014 as one of our International Pizza Challenge pizzas. So Dalton created this pie specifically to go out to Vegas with. So it was something with the International Pizza Challenge. Everybody knows it's like the Food Network. You have to be above par. You have to know what you're doing, and you have to know your flavor profiles, because what's coming to this competition is stuff we've never seen before. And depending on who's competing and what region or country they're from, they're bringing something else. So we knew we needed to be completely outside the box, and we knew we needed to be wow with our flavor profiles. So Dalton came up with this pie in 2014 and took it out to Vegas. So it won third in its division and region. And so we've kept it on the menu ever since. And it's one of those pizzas where it's completely outside the box. People don't think that tart cherries, fig jam, all the stuff's going to go together. It sounds weird when you read it on the menu, but it's one of our best sellers.
What's the name of the pie?
It's called the Mad Hatter.
Okay. So what goes on this? You mentioned tart cherries, but enlighten us as to the rest of the tastiness.
Yes. So this pizza right here, it has extra virgin olive oil as its base. It has shredded mozzarella, frothed mozzarella, arugula, tart cherries, fig jam preserves dolloped onto it. And then after bake, we add prosciutto, shredded Parmesan cheese, and balsamic reduction. So it kind of adds all those flavors of sweet, salt, bitter, all mixed up in one, and it hits your profile hard, but it's very mellow.
And you said it has shredded mozzarella and fresh mozzarella too.
Correct. The fresh mozzarella kind of gives it that creaminess underneath the arugula, instead of being the stringy, like shredded mozzarella, that profile, it mellows that out and kind of makes it all creamy together underneath.
All right. Well, and everybody, you guys are going to be able to see this in the, I believe, the May issue of PMQ Pizza Magazine. It's going to be in the Chef's Corner. We are also going to be producing a recipe video in the test kitchen. So we're going to tell you how to make this in your homes or your pizzeria. What do you think the benefit of having award-winning next to a pizza is on your menu? Is it worth it?
It is worth it. It is definitely worth it. Those pizzas that have those award winners, especially like the Mad Hatter, who it's super out there, and when you read it, it doesn't sound appealing. But seeing that award winner gives it justification. Like, maybe I should try this. It won something. But we have three pizzas on our menu now that are award winners. So those all get that little recognition just to allow our customers to know that we're accredited for what we do. The pizzas, we do take them serious. We do take them to competitions. And then when they win, they stay on our menu because they are part of our story.
So how often do you guys come up with new recipes? Is it, is it pretty often, or is it mainly once a year for like competitions, or?
Our goal is semi-annually. So we like to do one menu update a year, but we try to come up with 2 or 3 pizzas through that year process. And try to revamp what's not working or add to what is missing. So we normally try to base it on one menu print a year, but 2 times, one for Vegas and competition-worthy pizzas and one just for new menu ideas. Spring, fall, because different things are available in those seasons. And so we try to look at the freshest ingredients and everything like that. So we try to play on seasons and when we bring things in.
Well, yeah, and that's the question that I usually have too, is that, do you do seasonal items, and do you source local for those seasonal items?
Mm-hmm. We do. We have a lot of local vendors, and that's one of the things that I focus on really hard is trying to use as many local vendors as possible. So like our feta cheese is made here in Bellefontaine, Ohio. Our potato chips, which we are looking for a different source for those, but the chips we were using for the longest time were made in Urbana, Ohio, and our pepperoni is made in Columbus, Ohio. Mm-hmm. So we really try to feature the Ohio products or our local Logan County products before we do anything outsourced wise.
That's great. Being a part of that community, you want to keep the community thriving. So, all right. So now I'm going to move on to the section where it's like Brittany specific questions. And this is kind of going to be more towards your career in competing almost. You are a 5-time world champion for numerous categories in pizza acrobatics, or athletics as I like to call them. What have you won?
I have won 2 silvers with the U.S. Pizza Trials in New York back in 2007. That was the largest and fastest. Okay. I have 5 gold medals in I have 4 gold in fastest and 1 in largest. Then the 2 world records I set, one at 33.94 and one at 28.86, which I'm upset about because my preliminary was 26 seconds. Okay,
so I'm sorry, what you said those are your fastest?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what were they one more time? Because I was getting ready to ask that. I was writing my notes, but I missed it.
My first world record was set at 33.94 seconds.
Okay.
My second was at 28.86.
Wow. Okay.
But that has officially been beaten by Mitch Rotolo at like 23 seconds.
So what a jerk.
I know it sucks because nobody will ever beat that. I'll have it for a while. And the next year he beat it. So
it was only the next year too. Oh, that's just even worse.
I say Mitch is a great competitor, so I'm very proud to have competed with him for all these years, but I'm mad that he took my world record so quickly because I thought it'd take a while for somebody to get it.
I'm pretty sure it's probably you winning that drove him to beat it the next year. I mean, that's impressive. 28's impressive. 23, did they test him for like performance-enhancing drugs afterwards?
That's what I said. I was like, there's something up. There's no way. But no, he's a great competitor, and I'm glad to be part of the team with him and everything. So we've definitely networked over the years, and I couldn't be more proud of him for beating it, but still a little bitter.
Well, we haven't discussed this. I mean, I think I've interviewed numerous members of your team, that even members that became members after these interviews. But let's go ahead and just bring it out right now. What team are you part of? As you know, I'm US Pizza team. Who are you with?
I'm with the World Pizza Champs. I was actually brought on after my first award for the world record. That was one of my goals, being in the industry. Michael was part of this team, and like I watched him do all these fun things, and I wanted part of it. So one of my major goals of competing was being introduced into this team and the network that it has. So yes, I'm definitely a World Pizza Champion. Have been for about 4 years now. So
okay.
Actually, new coat. I got to put it on today for this, and I'm super excited. Re-embroidered and everything. So I was like, ha.
Well, yeah, it kept slipping down, so I want to make sure we got the logo up there. And this is all headed by the and it's got your name too. Beautiful. Yeah. It's all headed by the one, the only Tony Gemignani. So we're technically rivals, but the beauty of these teams is that we are all friends. There's no animosity that I've seen between anybody on this. So it's we drive each other to be better every single time. There are friendly jabs and jibes, you know. There's that trash talk, but we will, as far as team and pizza, we will be the first one to give you the coat off our back if you need it. So
absolutely.
So I mean, which is why I'm sitting down with Brittany today, and we're talking about pizza. It's just pizza. Yeah. Who cares, you know? She can play for the Dolphins, and I can play for the Eagles, and we're still friends. So
exactly.
All right, so moving on. You've told me about your competitions, how many wins and categories. Do you think competing is important or beneficial for a pizzeria? You know, getting out there doing either like the fastest, largest, or culinaries. Is that something that's worthwhile doing?
I believe 110% it is. It is obviously when you win, it's good notoriety. You get to put the newspaper articles, the Facebook blast, all that stuff. But what it does for your insides is create a tribe. It creates pride in what you do. It creates camaraderie between the industry in itself, and it creates this huge network of people who just are supporting you at all times. I think that it's very important for your team and for your restaurant to have those indicators present.
And then, as you said, you get the publicity before and after, usually with press releases and stuff like that. Because people, I don't know about in Bellefontaine. I said it right. I don't know in Bellefontaine, but I mean, people typically don't know about the world of pizza sports, culinary and or, you know, acrobatics and stuff like that. Is this something that they see on there and it starts a conversation? And most people just don't know about it, and you have to educate them?
A lot of, especially coming into the community, when we came from Kenton to Logan County, nobody knew these things existed. We've been here for 7 years now, so a lot of people do know now, but the new customers that come in, because our radius of draw is probably about 45 minutes to an hour around our business, people come to us. And so being able to display the awards and people read the articles that are in the dining room about everything that we've done, it does create also that unity between customer and staff, because once they find out about it or they see Nate doing his tricks, it's something they remember. It signifies us from any other pizzeria who doesn't compete. It's just that claim to fame and the whole unity process between customer and staff.
Okay. And then this is something that you actually, when you win awards or even just the articles, this is something you adorn your walls with in your pizzeria, put them up so people can see them and, you know, take pride in what you've done, right?
Absolutely. We work hard for those, and I want everybody to know that we have them.
Perfect. So you've been coming to our U.S. Pizza Team trials, acrobatic trials, for a few years. Last year you brought quite a few people, and even this year as well. Nate Wilson doing some spinning, Landon Butler, Roman Miller, some great guys. They took home a lot of awards. You know, why do you invest so much time and resource into sending so many competitors to these events? I mean, what's the benefit that you get from spending money to send your employees to these things?
Loyalty. That's the biggest benefit. I believe in them. I invest in them. We train together. We work together. I give pointers, advice. I help them grow within the industry. But it's important to me because it creates that brand unity and it creates loyalty between me and them, because that's one thing that Michael always did for me and that I continue to do because it was so important to my career and got me to where I'm going and where I've been. So for me to be able to support them and invest in that time and effort and even paying for the things that they do, it shows them that I appreciate them, I believe in them, and that I will always be there to support them. So competing to me was a huge part of my career. It got me stepping stones into the next direction. It got me into speaking on panels. It got my name out there. And it also created my path in this industry. So to be able to give them the opportunities to be able to do the same is very important to me. Even if they choose to go outside the industry ever in their career, like they had those experiences, they had the notoriety, they had all these things that they can brag about later in life. And those are things that are very important to me because that's our industry and that's our passions.
I mean, that's definitely a great answer. And it should inspire anybody out there who has a pizzeria and just get their staff. I mean, all these games came from in-house games anyway. It's like, I can make this pizza faster than you. Nah, you can't. I can stretch this dough bigger than you. Prove it. That's how it all starts, and it became a big thing. So these are things they can do in-house and actually start honing those skills and then send people out there and, for minimal cost. Basically, when you're paying for these guys to go out there, you're paying for publicity overall. So I was about ready to wrap this up because there was the last question, but I did want to ask you one more time. I was recording Guys Grocery Games the other day, and they had a couple pizza episodes on there, and lo and behold, who's on there? But Nino Coniglio, you, I think, who was it? It's a guy from Chicago. Jonathan Goldsmith, was he on there?
I think that's his last name.
Yeah, and then there was another gentleman. But I mean,
yeah.
So, all right, Guys Grocery Games. What the heck? How'd that happen?
They actually called me, and I thought that Diners, Drives, and Dives was coming. I never expected to be asked to do because I'm a pizza tosser. I have a hard time calling myself a chef because I never went to chef school. I never did any of the culinary things. I kind of just wing it and go with what I want or what tastes good. So like to be asked to be on the Food Network was a huge honor to me. I explain it as the most fun, stressful experience I've ever had in my life. But it was so cool. And like for them to reach out to me, this little girl from Logan County, Ohio, and asked to be on the show and compete against Nino, who is an amazing pizza master.
Yep, he is.
When I was honored to be on the same stage. So it was very nice.
All right. So what was your results? I mean, as far as I remember, you went pretty far.
I did. My goal was to not go out first and not go out before Nino because I see Nino every year. So I didn't want him to have that bragging right.
No. Okay. So you got second, I believe, right?
Yeah. I came in second on the grocery games. But I felt like I got almost not lucky because I didn't get lucky. I worked my butt off for 14 and a half hours for that. But I definitely, knowing Nino and knowing his history and what he's done in his career, I didn't think I stood a chance against him, to be honest. But I got second, so I can't complain.
Right. Well, it all comes down to judging, too, whether or not they like what he makes. We're not going to call it luck. We're going to call it talent and, a well-deserved second place. Nino is a great talent, so you always have that notch in your belt right there. Whenever Nino, we all know Nino, and he likes to give people, just push them, out of love and fun. But you can always say, hey, remember Guys Grocery Games?
That's why I'm like, you can't talk smack this year, Nino.
All right, Nino, we love you, man. So that's great. Have you been on any other invitations to any other Food Network shows like that?
Nothing on the Food Network. The only other thing that I did last year that was kind of cool, and it wasn't really pizza, but it was talking about my business, is I had the honors to speak at the White House in the Rose Garden on tax reforms. So that was something huge. I never thought my pizza career would take me to do, but it's something that I can be very proud of because I got to speak in the Rose Garden.
Wow.
So that another claim to fame that I was able to accomplish last year.
Wow, that is impressive. Pizza will take you to the White House.
Yeah. Who knew?
All right. Well, I think we've talked about everything that's on my mind right now. I'm sure I'll have some follow-ups for you. But, Brittany, thank you for your time. Why don't you – there's one thing you want to let people know about 600 Downtown right now. This is your time. Let them know. What do you have to say?
600 Downtown is an awesome pizzeria. We have 25 tables for dine-in. We're live on Open Table. We strive to create the best pizzas possible for you guys and experiences. So check us out.
How can they find out about you on social media and the internets?
I'll say 600downtown.com is our website. Facebook, Instagram, Open Table, TripAdvisor, Yelp. We're everywhere. So find us.
They are everywhere you guys want to be. That's great. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Brittany. I know it's early in the day, so this is a pizza person's very busy time getting ready for the opening your shop. So I want to thank you for your time and all your answers and all the information you've given our readers and our listeners. So
thank you so much.
Brittany Saxton, 600 Downtown Bellefontaine, Ohio. Thank you for your time. Join us next time on the Chef's Corner, guys, and look for this in the May issue of PMQ Pizza Magazine. Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you.